How does a bank prove the money belongs to itself? You're a lawyer with an incredible win rate. You often put your opponents behind bars. Even on an average day, you can get the other party and their lawyer locked up. If you're on fire, even the judge might end up behind bars. Even Zhang San would have to call you a true master. But one accident actually sends you to a parallel world. In this world, you're a total rookie lawyer, an intern who just started out for 2 years. You've only handled 5 cases in 2.5 years, and lost 4 of them. So after you arrived here, you didn't land a single case in half a month, just as you're out of ideas and thinking of switching to basketball. An old couple walks into the law firm. You think finally a new case. So you step up to ask what it's about. The old man speaks slowly. He says it's a criminal case. My son is accused of robbing a bank. I want to hire a lawyer to defend him, hopefully get a lighter sentence. You're super excited as soon as you hear that. Bank robbery is a big criminal prosecution. These cases are usually tough, but tough cases are what you want. It's your chance to give your firm a name. So, you ask the old man to describe the general process of the case. His name is Wang Zizhang. His wife is Zhang Quifang. Both are local retired workers. They had a child later in life. They have only one son. Here's what happened. Wang's son went to the bank to withdraw money to pay for Wang's medical treatment.
He was taking out Wang's savings.
Since it wasn't him in person, the bank asked Wang's son to prove he was really Wang's child. He brought his ID and family register, even a notice saying his father was critically ill, but none of it worked. The bank staff spoke harshly and insisted Wang had to be there in person and prove with his own mouth that the man really was his son. Otherwise, they wouldn't release the money. But Wang was still in the ICU, waiting for the money to save his life. While everyone was arguing, a group of robbers broke in. One of them heard Wang's son needed money to save his dad and just handed him some of the stolen cash. Wang's son didn't think much about it and rushed to the hospital with the money. Later, the entire group got caught. Since Wang's son had taken the money, he was seen as one of the robbers. He was convicted of armed robbery, got sentenced to 20 years in prison. Wang appealed after that, unfortunately lost the second trial. So the original verdict was upheld. Now it's at the final appeal stage. If the final appeal fails, there's no more chance to appeal. That means the case is finalized. When appealing the second time, Wang suddenly got angry. That lawyer for the second trial was a top lawyer from the south, called himself a criminal law expert, and charged 188,000 in legal fees. But in court, only said 3 words, "Ready for the judge's decision?" Wang was so angry he kept shaking. At that moment, Zhang Quifang hurriedly patted Wang's back and said, "Lawyer Su, this case is a big deal. We heard that the final trial might even be broadcast live online. We don't trust those big law firms, and plenty of small firms turned us down. The case has a huge impact. Plus, the hearing will be live-streamed. You think this is basically free advertising for the law firm. So you take the case without hesitation and promise, if they're not happy with the result, you won't charge any lawyer fees. Once the contract is signed, you get your documents ready and head to court to get the case files." Right then, a female college student walks in. "Hi, Lawyer Su. I'm here to report for work." After thinking hard, you finally remember this girl from the original memories. Her name is Li Zhu. She's the intern, the original you hired before. She came today to check in. Li Zhu. She's a top senior in law school at Lanzhou University. She came to this small firm just to get experience. Come on, you can go to court with me. Soon. You both return with case files from the court. Li Zhu looks worried after reading them. The first and second trial verdicts are the same. That matters a lot for the final appeal. Unless you find some game-changing new evidence. Otherwise, the verdict probably won't change. And word is, the prosecutor in this case is tough. We're screwed. Is my first case about to fall apart? Thinking about that, Li Zhu felt totally hopeless. But then you close the case file, already feeling confident. Let's go. Li Zhu was still lost in despair when you suddenly interrupted. Now she's totally confused. Go where? The case is basically set in stone. We're going to meet Wang Li and the other suspects. See what they have to say. Are we going to lose? We haven't even started the trial yet. Yeah, this one's pretty tricky. Lawyer Su, stay strong. There's no lose in my dictionary. Wang Zizhong's son never robbed anyone. How could we lose? He didn't rob the bank. Lawyer Su, what do you mean? You'll find out in court. It's a secret for now. You smile a little and stride out full of confidence. Soon, Wang Li is summoned. You take Li Zhu to the interview room. Wang Li looks exhausted. After everything in court, she's lost all hope for a lighter sentence. Wang Li glances up at you. Hello, lawyer. Do you think I still have a chance? You smile a bit. There's always a chance. I promised your parents. If I don't win or can't reduce your sentence, I won't charge lawyer fees. Wang Li looks shocked. Really? You're not just bluffing? If you lose, you won't charge anything. Are you confident you can win? I wouldn't have taken the case if I didn't think I could. We'll win, no problem. As long as you cooperate. Reducing your sentence should be doable. I'll definitely cooperate. Wang Li nods hard and starts to feel a little hope again. Then you tell Li Zhu to get ready to take notes and start asking for details about the case and about her answers at the first and second trials. Half an hour later, you leave the detention center feeling satisfied. Everything you wanted to check is now clear. Ready for trial. Back at the law firm, you sort through the trial materials. Have Li Zuzan file the lawsuit at court. Li Zuzan reviewed the documents. She rubbed her eyes.
Lawyer.
Isn't submitting it like this a bit too aggressive? This case needs to be tough. We have to go hard. Go handle it. Li Zuzan took a sharp breath. She left the office, doubting her life choices. Not long after, the final verdict for Wang Wizi's case was ready. Submission completed. The application was approved. Meanwhile, the court summons also reached the bank's legal department. After the bank received the court notice, they were shocked, being sued for improper operations, which led to their client Wang Li being sentenced, asking for 200,000 yuan in lost wages and emotional damages. Lanzhou Bank's top management was furious about this. Wang Li, their bank was supposed to be the victim. It's already good, we're not asking the court for harsh punishments. But now, we actually got hit with a lawsuit ourselves. Isn't this just a big joke? They immediately called the legal team. Handle this seriously. At the meeting, Lanzhou Bank's head of legal, Su Jikang, spoke up. Bank management is taking this lawsuit very seriously. We must win. Best case, get the other side a longer sentence. Understand? But the legal team's lawyers were arrogant and looked down on that small-time law firm boss. Based on the info, Baijun Law Firm is just a sole proprietorship. Their lawyer Subai has practiced 5 years, only fought 5 cases, lost 4 of them, and barely won the last. If someone like that beats us, our bank's reputation is trashed. Others all voiced agreement. They mocked him as a clown. Meanwhile, because this case is special, robbing to save dad gets 20 years as a headline, can easily go viral online. During Wang Li's previous trials, there was already talk on social media. Now, with the final hearing, the online buzz is growing again. A lot of commentary about Wang Li's case. How did the bank become the weak side? Why are their issues just taking my money? But pushing credit cards is always easy. Support of Wang Li. If the bank wasn't so much trouble, she would have withdrawn and paid already. No need to rub anything.
Exactly.
When depositing, the staff treat you like a VIP. When you withdraw, you get treated like you're nothing. Supporting you guys, you just don't get what the bank is dealing with. Actually, banks have their struggles too. Otherwise, look, every time a big withdrawal or money loss happens at a bank, it's always blamed on temp workers. Can't totally blame the bank for this. Blame the tongue, not the bank. 5 cents a post. Literally begging up there. Let me in. I want to make money too. Online commentaries all slamming the bank. Landa Bank heads saw the online talk and got furious. They issued a strict order. We must win in this trial livestream and win in the court of public opinion too. If we don't, replace the entire legal team. At Baijun Law Firm, you're happily scrolling through your phone, seeing the online talk one-sided. A smirk appears. So far, this case between Holland Bank and us, plus Wang Li's final appeal, is getting lots of attention. Win, and the law firm gets famous. Lose, and the law firm still gets famous. Li Zuzin looked at online opinions with mixed feelings. On one side, it's a huge scene. If we win, we get famous. But if we lose, that'd be a massive stain. Lawyer, this time our firm really went big. You're lying on a lounge chair. Then a piece of clothing blocks your view. You tilt your head a bit and finally see Li Zuzin's face. No what ifs. The things I asked you to organize. About Landa Bank's recent cases and the contact info of the victims. Did you finish compiling them? All done. Let me see. Li Zuzin handed you the materials. You flip straight to bank lawsuits and the page with victim contacts. Then you start dialing the first number. Hi, I'm a lawyer from Baizhen Law Firm. Heard your number's new. At that time, you sued Landa Bank, but lost. Want to know how Landa Bank lost this time? After hanging up, you dial the second contact, using the same pitch. Li Zuzin looked at you, a bit surprised. Didn't know you could find witnesses like that. She watched your moves, not really understanding. This is totally different from law school.
Honestly.
It feels pretty unorthodox, but really effective. From you. She didn't see the usual big-time lawyer vibe, but she learned quite a bit. Street smarts are one thing. Finding witnesses is another. Both add up to 2. Really useful. Don't just stand there. Come help me call. There's too many for me alone. Li Zuzin snapped out of it. When she heard you, okay.
10 p.m.
After finishing up, you take a sip of tea and let out a long breath. All the prep is finally done. We've got this. Now we just wait to go to court. The court's mediation attempt. Just as expected. Landa Bank refused to settle. They said they'd win in court. You don't care about that bragging. Anyone can talk big outside court. We'll see what happens in the courtroom. Then you'll know what real life is. Just watch me. Soon it was trial day. Because this case got so much attention online. It's newsworthy. Before entering court, lots of reporters waited outside. As soon as Holland Bank's lawyers arrived, they were surrounded by reporters. Excuse me, legal staff from Holland Bank. Have you seen the online discussions about this case? How confident are you in winning? What do you think of your opponent's firm, Baizhen Law Firm? What's your take on this case? This trial is presided over by the legal department. A young lawyer in his 20s, named Li Mo. Li Mo cleared his throat, looking confident regarding the reporter's inquiries. I'd like to say that Blue Big Bank is aware of the online comments. We will explain everything later. As for the chances of winning, don't worry about that. I believe you can all judge for yourselves. This trial is being live streamed. If you are interested, you can watch the live broadcast. As for the opposing firm, you can just look them up online. It's not my place to comment. After Limo finished, he held his head high. Surrounded by reporters, he entered the courtroom. Compared to the bank's legal team, swarmed by the press, your side was much quieter. Hardly any reporters noticed you. Lawyer Su, the difference in treatment is huge. Li Zuzin remarked with a sigh. You raised an eyebrow. The bigger the gap is now, the harder the media backlash will hit later. Don't worry about it. As the two were about to enter, a young female reporter ran over carrying her own camera. Are you the female lawyer from Baizhen firm? I am, and you are... Hi, I'm from Elephant Media. I'd like to interview you. Is that okay? The young reporter looked nervous, likely because she's new to the job. A slight smile crossed your lips. Sure, she let out a sigh of relief, acting very professionally. Hello, Lawyer Li. I heard the bank's legal department has a win rate at this court, all added together, as high as 86%. Lawyer Li for Baizhen Law Firm. In this particular case, what are the chances of winning? You cleared your throat and straightened your tie. Regarding the case against Blue Big Bank and the final trial for Wang Li, Baizhen Law Firm is very confident. We welcome everyone to sue and hire Baizhen Law Firm. The reporter froze for a few seconds, looking a bit dejected. That was just a blatant advertisement. But her professionalism kept her smiling. Then I hope Lawyer Su wins, and the firm grows stronger. Thanks. With a smile, you led Li Zuzin into the court, waiting for the trial to start. Li Zuzin looked a bit nervous. Lawyer Su, this is a live-streamed trial. What if something goes wrong? There are no what ifs, unless the judge rules wrongly on purpose. And if that happens, then this case will be an even bigger sensation. A smirk appeared on your face, telling Li Zuzan not to worry. In this parallel world, the law is highly respected. The law is truly sacred here. Everyone is equal before the law. There is no judicial favoritism. If there's an objection, file for a reconsideration and see if the judges face prison time. Judges usually follow the law strictly. Regarding the panel for this trial, you've already researched them. The presiding judge is a woman, Eucaxia, vice president of the court. She has deep legal knowledge, years on the bench, presiding over hundreds of trials. Her rulings are well-reasoned. This bank robbery case is being handled by Eucaxia. As for unfair treatment, you have no concerns at all, because Eucaxia is known for fairness. What do you mean, Li Zuzan? Never mind that for now. Get ready for the trial. A staff member approached you. After confirming your identity, they signaled you to enter. After both lawyers were seated, the clerk began reading the rules. To maintain court order and uphold the dignity of the court, the following rules are announced. 1. Parties, agents, and the gallery must follow the judge's orders. 2. When the judges enter, or when the verdict is announced by the presiding judge, everyone must stand. Rules concluded. All rise for the judges. Everyone stands. Eucaxia and 2 judges walked in. The gavel struck. Court is in session. Then identities were verified. Meanwhile, outside the court during the stream, many people were watching closely. In the bank's legal office, Wang Wu, head of Blue Big Bank, and legal director Su Jikang were watching the stream. When it started, Wang Wu looked up and asked if it had begun. It just started. There are already hundreds in the chat. Our legal team cannot lose this. Understand? Su Jikang nodded. Don't worry, President Wang. We are fully prepared this time. As you requested, we won't just win. We'll win decisively, at least to suppress the public outcry. Good. Wang Wu nodded with satisfaction. This trial is live-streamed, and the media is promoting it. Blue Big Bank is under huge pressure. If the trial is lost, the bank's reputation will suffer severe consequences. Wang Wu, as the one in charge, will also be heavily affected, so we cannot lose. Watching the live stream, we're not just bank staff, but also many media outlets. After all, this trial is trending. Riding the hype is good for traffic. A famous legal commentator was analyzing the scene live. Right now in the courtroom, the judge is verifying the parties and the lawyer's information. This is standard trial procedure. On the left side is the defense for Blue Big Bank. On the right is the lawyer for Baijun Law Firm. Since this is a consolidated trial, the prosecutor is also on the left. The commentator watched the stream and shook his head slightly, judging by the setup. It'll be hard for Baijun Firm to win, but a reduced sentence is possible. The comments were all similar. True though. I support Baijun Firm in spirit. It doesn't look very promising. After all, they're suing a bank. Yeah, that actually makes sense. But I still can't accept it. Everyone in the comments is pretty pessimistic. Then suddenly a new comment pops up. Do you guys think a miracle could happen? Like maybe the lawyer from the Baijun Law Firm on the right is actually a hidden big shot. A bunch of rebuttals popped up below. What kind of lawyer is that young? It's going to be really hard to win. Legal commentator Luo Daxiang gives a slight nod. There's no doubt this case is tough to win. Let's not say too much. Let's just keep watching. If there's anything during the trial you don't get, I'll explain it to you once they finish verifying info in court. Sai Yu knocks the gavel. Now, plaintiff, please state the facts and reasons. And your demands for this appeal. You sit in the lawyer's seat. Knowing this is a big moment, you tidy your suit and start reading the complaint. Our demands are really simple. First, we don't accept the previous rulings. My client did nothing wrong, yet he was falsely accused of robbery. We're asking to overturn both lower court rulings. We request the original verdicts be thrown out. Clear my client's name. Second, we ask for compensation from Landa Bank for what they did to my client. Because of Landa Bank's wrong judgment, my client was wrongly sentenced to 20 years in prison, stuck in detention for a long time. So we are asking for 200,000 yuan in damages. This covers lost wages and pain and suffering, along with reputational loss. We've calculated this amount carefully. It's not even that much. Third, because Landa Bank seriously hurt my client's reputation, we want Landa Bank to make a public apology to my client, including but not limited to social media platforms, posting apology statements on different sites for no less than 20 days. Fourth, we want Landa Bank's management to clarify the facts, not just to clear my client's name, but to also apologize to other victims who suffered the same thing at Landa Bank. Give them an apology too. The courtroom is dead silent. Is this lawsuit for real? Not only are they asking to overturn the previous decisions, they're also saying the client is innocent and want their client's good name back. Alright, that's already wild enough. But they're actually demanding compensation from the bank. You're a robbery defense lawyer, and you want the bank to pay your client 200,000 yuan. Lost wages, pain and suffering. Damage to reputation. 200,000 yuan? Might as well rob them again. Only this time, it's out in the open with a price tag. Compared to that, points 3 and 4 are nothing. Not even worth discussing. Meanwhile, in the courtroom livestream, the viewers watching right now aren't just casuals. Some are actual court staff, or lawyers and legal professionals, and they're all shocked. At first, most people thought this lawsuit was going to be a sure loss for Landa Court. But this livestream has drawn so much attention, and the judge is a heavy hitter. Maybe they'll lighten the sentence at most. So overall, that's still a win. Could almost call it a victory. But these demands? Feels like you're just making wishes here. No one would dare wish for all that. Damn, this layer is wild. Guys, spam 666 in the chat. Win or lose, this is a one-of-a-kind claim. Might even go down in legal history. This is awesome. 99,996 total turnarounds. These demands. No one would dare wish for all that. Not even the Buddha could pull that off. Okay, stop laughing for a sec. Let's see what Mr. Luo thinks. Luo Daxiang shakes his head slightly. Since they've made the claims, there have to be some facts or grounds behind them. Now, this lawyer's demands seem pretty crazy, but whether they stand or not depends on what proof he can show. If there's no evidence, it's just a false statement, basically perjury. As a lawyer, he really shouldn't make that mistake, but I can't say for sure. Let's keep watching.
Inside Landa Bank's legal office.
Wang Wu frowns a little. Su Jiqiang next to him laughs and says, Wang, these demands are just for show. Just let it go. If he can't show any facts or valid arguments,
He might get himself locked up for perjury.
by then, we'll have already won the public opinion war. Wang Wu keeps his eyes glued to the trial stream. But remember, no matter what, we at Landa Bank have to win this case and make it look good. Got it, got it. Su Jiqiang gives a polite smile. Back in court, Yu Caixia hears your claims and frowns just a bit. Aren't these demands really out there? At this point, Limo can't help but scoff. These claims. May I ask the plaintiff's lawyer, do you actually have evidence? Or a legal argument to back them up?
If not,
You could be charged with obstructing justice. You smile and say, well, this really has nothing to do with the defense counsel now, does it? Your Honor, the other side is verbally attacking me, trying to mess with the court process. I request the defense counsel be removed. Limo is about to argue back. When up on the bench, Yu Saixia frowns again and slams the gavel. Request denied. Plaintiff's lawyer's request is rejected. It's not the defense lawyer's turn to speak yet. Defense is officially warned, face to face with the gavel and warning. Limo can only swallow his anger and keeps quiet. Can't hold it in anymore. Limo squints and stares at you. Man, how can you be so sneaky? Where do you graduate from? Which law school? Never mind those wild claims. But now anything he says. This guy just requests him out of the courtroom. Removal basically means he disrupted the court somehow. So he has to leave for a bit. But honestly, what he said wasn't disruptive at all. The other side's just being a pain, actually requesting he be removed. Limo takes a deep breath and tries to calm himself down. Tells himself, this lawyer's demands are totally baseless claims, already messing with normal court work. If he can't give real proof, he'll be detained or maybe even arrested. And not just lose this trial, but lose hard, Landa Bank would win the public opinion battle too. Not worth getting mad about. Limo gradually calms down. Up at the judge's bench, Eucaxia frowned slightly. She addressed the plaintiff's attorney. As the presiding judge in court, it's our duty to further verify, regarding your lawsuit application, if there's no factual basis or no legal grounds for your defense. According to the criminal law, committing perjury in court will be prosecuted for filing a false lawsuit. You will face criminal charges as required by law. Are you sure there are no problems with your application? Li Zuzin, who was next to you, was so nervous that tiny beads of sweat appeared on her face. She tried to tug your sleeve, hoping you'd calm down, but you nodded seriously. Judge, I'm fully aware of the consequences of lying in court. I take responsibility for everything I say here. The courtroom suddenly burst into noise. Judge Eucaxia quickly struck her gavel. Then she continued, since you confirm your lawsuit application,
Next.
let the defendant Blue Bank state their defense and lawsuit application. Time for rebuttal. Limu, attorney for Blue Bank, straightened up a bit. He read out their defense and claims. Our defense is as follows. First, regarding the plaintiff, that is Miss Wang Li's side, we ask that all complaints against Blue Bank be dismissed. We also request severe action against such malicious conduct and demand the plaintiff be heavily punished to show respect for the law. Second, please uphold the decisions of the Blue Primary Court and the Blue Intermediate Court in the first and second trial.
Thirdly.
The plaintiff must compensate us for all damage to our reputation, amounting to 500,000 yuan. Fourth, the plaintiff should cover all our legal fees. Judge, that is the end of my defense and appeal. Limu finished stating the defense and claims. Judge Eucaxia struck her gavel. Both sides have made their claims. Next, the plaintiff. Please present relevant facts and legal grounds. As Caxia finished speaking, everyone's eyes turned to you. After all, the plaintiff's claims seemed wild. Some people inside the courtroom, as well as those watching online, all looked at you, wanting to see what evidence and legal basis you would show. Li Zuzin, your assistant, was sweating nervously. Lawyer Su, what do we do now? Do we have solid evidence? Wait, do we really have evidence? Li Zuzin kept flipping through the lawsuit material in her hands. What are you saying? You're an intern at the law firm, and you're still worried about this now? You pulled the files from Li Zuzin's hands. You spoke calmly. Judge, before submitting the legal grounds, I'd like my client to describe what happened during the incident. The application is approved. Now, please, describe the incident in detail. At the witness stand, Wang Li slowly stood up from her seat. She glanced at the two bailiffs by her side, her expression a bit tense. But when she saw you, she seemed to calm down a little. Your Honor, I would like some water. With Judge Eucaxia's permission, the bailiff handed Wang Li a water bottle. After drinking, Wang Li's nerves fully settled. She began to explain. The incident was simple. My dad was in the AQ and urgently needed money. I went to Blue Bank to withdraw cash. The staff said I wasn't the account holder and told me to bring my dad or show proof I was his child. Even my household booklet wasn't enough. I remember when I was arguing with the staff, suddenly a group of robbers stormed in from outside. They robbed the bank. One of the robbers noticed me crying on the ground, handed me a portion of the stolen money, and then I took the money to pay the hospital. Judge, may I ask my client some questions? I request to ask my client about some details. Gavel sounds. Permission granted. Lawyer may question the client about relevant case details, but may not ask about unrelated matters or guide the client's answers. Yes, Your Honor. After receiving Judge Eucaxia's consent, you began questioning client. Did you participate in the robbery? No. Can you describe in detail how the robber gave you the money? Wang Li frowned slightly, trying to recall. I remember it was a short robber who saw me clutching my head and crying on the floor. He called me a coward and asked why I was so scared. I told him my dad was in the hospital and I couldn't get money. I was worried about my dad, so I was crying. That robber was robbing the bank, apparently also to help his own family. After hearing about my situation, he took out 2 bundles of cash and stuffed them in my arms. Continued questioning, and then, after giving you the money, What did you do first? Wang Li quickly responded. I remember clearly. At first I was afraid to accept it. I was scared. Then the robber scolded me, called me unfilial. So I took the money. All right. Thank you for your cooperation. Judge, I've finished questioning. Gavel sounds. Eucaxia looked at the plaintiff's table. Plaintiff's lawyer has finished questioning. Now please begin your legal explanation. Yes, Judge. You slowly pulled out materials. Regarding the key issues raised at the first trial. Judge, these were the issues raised by the Blue Primary Court's prosecutors at trial. This includes the charges and the judgment. I believe this judgment has many problems and a lot of unreasonable points. It caused serious harm to my client. Inside the courtroom, everyone's eyes focused on you. First trial judgment was questionable. Is she trying to overturn the verdict? That's what it means to challenge the first verdict. The jury and the audience inside all had their eyes on you, as did those watching online. The live stream viewers were shocked too. This means that I'm not accepting the verdict of the first trial. I want to overturn the legal judgment of the first trial. I think it's kind of similar. From the looks of it, that's the vibe. I don't even say 666 anymore. I just straight up say awesome, no matter what the final verdict is. I think just overturning the first trial is really interesting. Pointing out the unreasonable parts of the first verdict. Raising doubts is fine. But if you want to overturn it, you need to present new evidence for argument. This young lawyer seems very confident. I'm totally backing this without thinking. Mr. Luo, can you explain it to us? After Luo Daxiang saw the comments, he smiled slightly at the live trial footage. This plaintiff's lawyer is really impressive. At least their performance in court is very good. But as for this plaintiff's lawyer, how he's planning to overturn the first verdict, I'm not really sure for now, because my attention to this case stopped at the court's judgment. I'm not very familiar with the dossiers of the first and second trial, so I can't make a judgment. Let's just keep watching. On the court, Eucaxia frowned slightly. Her tone was calm. Regarding the first verdict from Landau First District Court, the client's lawyer feels there are unreasonable points. You can use legal provisions to interpret and refute. Okay, Judge, you nodded. This is Landau First District Court. The verdict for our client's alleged crime. The first verdict is as follows. Landau First District Court accuses our client of knowingly dealing with a criminal suspect and the money stolen from the bank, and still choosing to take it. So the court defines our client's intent as taking money from the bank. The verdict is that our client is considered an accomplice, or opportunistically robbing the bank. Same guilt, verdict point 2. Landau First District Court and our client, that is Wang Li, having contact with the criminal suspect. For further confirmation, we do not accept these 2 points in the verdict. Reason number 1. Just now our client has already clarified. At that time, the criminal suspect asked proactively, our client. The account of the following events is a bit complex. Our client is Wang Li, real name. First, Wang Li made it clear that it was the criminal suspect who took the initiative to ask her why she was crying in the bank. After hearing her situation, he proactively offered to give her money so she could pay the hospital bills to get treatment for her critically ill father in the hospital. And at the first moment, Wang Li said her feelings were worry and fear. Let me ask, Judge, Wang Li's first reaction was fear. So how could she subjectively intend to take money from the bank? Her first response of fear was her real intent. And another point, Wang Li said, the criminal suspect insulted her. Under those circumstances, the suspect insulted Wang Li, which clearly shows dissatisfaction with Wang Li's actions. The key is the suspect was armed with a dangerous weapon. One thought, and Wang Li could face danger. In such a situation, there was no guarantee for Wang Li's safety. According to Chinese law, Wang Li meets the criteria for emergency avoidance, so she shouldn't bear any criminal responsibility. Based on the above statements, regarding Landau First District Court's verdict, we do not accept the second point either. The second and first trial verdicts are the same, so we hereby apply for a withdrawal of both Landau First and Intermediate District Courts regarding our client Wang Li's first and second trial verdicts. Wow, the courtroom erupted in an uproar regarding your sharp questions. Everyone was stunned. Then after carefully considering it, people looked at you with admiration. Wang Li's eyes lit up too. She has hope for acquittal. She doesn't have to go to jail. Blue Dao Bank is about to lose. That's amazing. The marriage counseling layer and criminal layer brought in by her parents are just incredible. Li Zuzin also let out a long sigh of relief. She looked at you with a bit of respect. There's hope to win even in such a lawsuit. So impressive. No wonder it's me. I have an amazing eye for picking law firms. Meanwhile, Blue Dao Bank's legal department manager Wang Wu's face was extremely gloomy.
He stared coldly at Su Jigang.
This head of the legal department, Minister Su, didn't you guarantee that we'd win? So what's going on now? Not only did we fail to get a harsher sentence, but the other side applied for acquittal. If the other side actually wins, do you know what consequences and losses? Our bank will suffer. By then, your legal department will all be packing up and leaving. Su Jiqian quickly put on a smiling face. President Wang, don't worry. The case isn't over yet. Their lawyer has skills, but our bank's legal team aren't just wasting the bank's money or getting paid for nothing. The opponent's lawyer raised those 2 points, and there's actually no issue with them. But the first trial verdict had several other points. The remaining points are the most crucial. If you don't believe me, look. Su Jiqian pulled out the first trial dossier. Wang Wu glanced at it, snorted coldly. There better not be any tricks. Yes, President Wang, you're right. Su Jiqian hardly smiled again. Wang Wu was full of anger after reading it. He just stopped looking. Keep monitoring this live stream closely. Report to me if anything happens. I'm annoyed just watching it. Remember, we cannot lose this lawsuit. Absolutely. Rest assured, President Wang. After old Wang Wu left the office, Su Jiqian let out a long sigh. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. With Wang Wu in the room just now, he felt tremendous pressure. As for this lawsuit, as the head of the legal department, he knows it inside out. They're definitely going to win. But when he saw the opponent's layer, Su Jiqian, for some reason, suddenly had a thought pop into his head. What if the other side wins? Coming back to himself, Su Jiqian immediately slapped himself. Impossible. The other side is just a no-name small law firm in Laoyer. How could that happen? In court, you looked at Eucaxia. Judge, my statement is finished. Eucaxia nodded slightly. She looked at Limo, Blue Dao Bank, and the prosecutor. Anything else you'd like to add? Limo glared at you, gritting his teeth. You really know how to twist things. Only mentioned 2 points. Didn't say anything about the remaining verdict points, huh? Limo raised his hand. Judge, I have a question. Limo raised his hand to apply to the judge. Eucaxia looked at the defense side, which is Limo's direction. If the defense counsel has any questions, they can raise them in court. Limo took a deep breath. He pulled out the first trial's verdict. Your Honor, I request permission to make an application regarding the plaintiff's lawyer's statement. The reason is that Limo handed over the first trial verdict in his hand and gave it to the staff member nearby. After seeing Eucaxia take it in her hand, he spoke seriously. Just now, the plaintiff's lawyer, that is, the lawyer from Baizhang Law Firm, you refused to accept the verdict of Landa District Court in the first trial and stated your corresponding reasons. But the plaintiff's lawyer avoided the main issue, only describing the first 2 points of the verdict, and deliberately ignored the remaining points. The third point in the verdict is that Landa District Court determined that Wang Li, knowing it was the bank's money, still chose to use that money to pay at the hospital. In her earlier statement, Wang Li described it very clearly. After Wang Li left the bank, she was already out of danger. Yet she still chose to take the money to the hospital to pay. Based on this point, it can be determined that this was Wang Li's own subjective judgment, and not as you described, that Wang Li was acting under imminent danger. I would like to ask the plaintiff's counsel, when your client clearly knew it was the bank's money, why did she choose to go to the hospital, instead of calling the police and handing the bank's money over, or simply wait to reach a completely safe place before returning the money? But Wang Li insisted on using the money to pay at the hospital. This indicates, first, she knew the money was taken from the bank. Second, even if she was threatened by the robber, at the moment she left the bank, Wang Li was already out of danger, which does not meet the conditions for self-defense. Combining the two, Isn't this from a subjective standpoint the same as grabbing bank money to save her own father? Of course, I know this is human nature. I don't deny Wang Li's concern and love for her father from an emotional perspective. But from the standpoint of fact and law, there is nothing wrong with the verdict against Wang Li. Your Honor, that concludes my statement. After Limo finished, he glanced in your direction. The last part was something he added on the spot. He also knew about the public opinion impact of this case, so he had to pay attention to public opinion, as well as win the lawsuit. Otherwise, even after winning the case, then the reputation of Landa Bank would suffer tremendous damage. Eucaxia nodded slightly. Does the plaintiff have any comments or alternative viewpoints regarding the counterclaim by the defendant? Limo glanced provocatively at Li, the corners of his mouth rising slightly. He had been waiting for this moment. The time to take down Landa Bank had come. Your Honor, I have no objections to what the defendant has presented, and the defense counsel's opinion is correct. But there's one point the defense missed. I would like to ask the defense counsel how you determined that the money in Wang Li's hands was the bank's. Is there any evidence showing that the money belonged to the bank? The defense counsel also said that my client Wang Li took bank money to pay the relevant fees at the hospital, and from that concluded my client's subjective intent. But how can you prove the money belonged to the bank? Your counter question stunned Limo. What does that even mean? How does one prove the bank's money is actually the bank's? What the hell, this question is a bit outrageous. Not only was Limo stunned, but many participants in the courtroom also didn't understand. Can you even do that? Damn, that's impressive. Even such tricky questions can be raised. Viewers watching the live stream of the trial were also stunned for a few seconds. What does that even mean? You're asking the bank to prove the bank's money belongs to the bank. Damn, this lawyer's got some skills. Damn, this lawsuit has taken a turn I never expected. I feel like my brain is broken. Wasn't this case about Wang Li? Shouldn't the focus be on lessening Wang Li's sentence? The bank's side is supposed to be on the attack. Why is Wang Li's lawyer so aggressive right now? I don't know. But this trial is really interesting. Not the same as Reborn, but it feels pretty cool watching. I don't really get it. Let's wait for Teacher Luo's explanation later. Your tricky courtroom question left Limo completely speechless. For a while, he couldn't figure out what you were thinking. From a questioning point of view, your question is absolutely valid. But from a factual point of view, if the money was stolen by robbers from the bank, does it not belong to the bank? Could it have fallen from the sky? Li Zhujiang looked at you, thoughtfully, as if she understood something. Dong dong dong. Eucaxia struck the gavel. She calmly looked at the plaintiff. The lawyer's statement. Is there any evidence or legal basis to prove it? Your Honor, please take out a copy of the first trial file materials. Your Honor, this is evidence provided by the prosecution after the first trial. Based on the evidence submitted by the prosecution, the bank was in chaos at the time. The robbers not only took money from inside the bank, but also robbed customers who were handling withdrawals at the bank, and mixed everything into burlap sacks. According to the surveillance footage, the robber who handed money to Wang Li just grabbed 2 bundles of cash from the bag and handed them to her. These 2 bundles of cash. It's impossible to tell if they're from the bank robbery or if they were stolen from a customer who had just withdrawn money and was about to leave. How can the bank prove this money belongs to them? If that's not certain, then the bank can't claim our client participated in robbing the bank. This money was taken in a robbery, but it wasn't through our client's actions. The robbers handed the money to our client. At most, our client gained from an unjust cause. So we asked Blue Grand Bank to prove this money is theirs. Everyone at the scene looked baffled. Is that even possible? Eucaxia frowned slightly. As the presiding judge, over so many years,
He has judged hundreds of cases.
this time the Wang Li robbery gained huge public attention. The court president wanted him to lead this trial. But he's never seen a case like this. The process is so complicated. The questions raised are so offbeat. But it's all within the court's procedure. Eucaxia showed little emotion and looked at the bank side. Does the bank have any evidence to refute the questions raised by the plaintiff's lawyer, or a counter by legal precedent? At this point, Limo was furious. What the hell, since when? Does the bank have to prove bank money is actually the bank's? Limo really wanted to curse, but he had already been warned once. Another warning and it's a $50 fine. For bigger problems, he'd be kicked out. There was nothing he could do. He just forced himself to calm down, raised his hand to speak. Your Honor, I object to the opposing lawyer's statement. If the client is still inside the bank has the right to protect their safety and privacy. If the client hasn't left the bank yet, of course the money counts as being with the bank. If a client loses money after being robbed, the bank must take most or all of the responsibility. According to responsibility allocations, if the client hasn't left the lobby, then the money is naturally still the bank's. No need to distinguish between if the robbery targeted the bank or the client. Doesn't matter whose money the robbers took, bank or client. As long as it happened in the bank's lobby, it's bank property. Limo glared at the plaintiff's lawyer, obviously annoyed with you. You just laughed it off and raised your hand to speak. Your Honor, regarding Blue Grand Bank, I have an objection about their claim that if a client still hasn't left the lobby, their loss is the bank's responsibility. Can the client's money really count as bank property? I object to this argument. Your Honor, this is related to a case from 6 months ago. That case was this. A bank client made a withdrawal, just got the cash, and immediately a criminal waiting outside targeted them and stole 150,000 yuan from that client. The robber was caught later, but the money was already spent, and he couldn't pay it back. So the client turned to the bank for compensation and sued South Grand Bank. But the bank argued they weren't responsible since the client had left the window and blamed the client for not protecting their own money. In their defense, and the client lost the case. Is this what Blue Grand Bank calls protecting their clients? Does Blue Grand Bank actually protect clients' property in their lobby? Is that what they're claiming? They say as long as you haven't left the bank, the client's money is protected by the bank, and any loss is the bank's fault? We completely disagree with that. Your Honor, we asked to call the bank client from that old case as a witness. Eucaxia nodded slightly, banged the gavel. Plaintiff's lawyer requests witness to enter. After getting approval, a court officer brought in a middle-aged woman around her late 40s or early 50s into the courtroom. As soon as the woman entered, she stared straight at Limo. He didn't know why, but suddenly had a bad feeling. From the judge's bench, Eucaxia read out witness information. Witness's name is Wang Min, age 46. Can you confirm your identity? Wang Min nodded intently. Your Honor, I'm Wang Min. I confirm my identity. After confirmation, Eucaxia continued. This witness's identity is valid. Please state what happened. After hearing this, Wang Min seemed to finally have an outlet and spoke loudly. Half a year ago, I deposited money in Blue Grand Bank. Maybe it's not much for the bank, 150,000 yuan, but it's years of hard work from me and my husband. It was our son's wedding money. I had just taken out the cash, and then some damn. Sorry, Your Honor. I shouldn't swear. It was a criminal. A criminal stopped me and my husband and took away the money we saved up for years. By the time it was found, the money was gone. We took the lawyer's advice to sue the bank, but the bank said they weren't responsible after I left the window and blamed me for not keeping my cash safe, and I lost the case too. So today I want to ask Blue Grand Bank, what do you mean by this? Isn't that a double standard? When I sued you, you said you weren't responsible for losses after leaving the window, but now that you're the defendant, you say money stolen inside the lobby counts as your responsibility, and the bank should pay for all or most losses, and that as long as the client is in the bank lobby. The money is still bank property, so shouldn't you pay me back my hard-earned cash? Don't you Blue Grand Bank owe me money? Wang Min started out calm, but got angrier and finally started swearing out loud, and it wasn't pretty. Not even the courtroom guards could easily stop her. People in the courtroom and watching online started talking. From this it looks like Blue Grand Bank really is two-faced. On one hand, they're the victim. On the other hand, sometimes they're the ones at fault. Guess you just have bad luck dealing with Blue Grand Bank. I don't think other banks pull stuff like this. Not sure. People in the comments can share which banks to avoid, that's all. In the live stream of the trial, and rebroadcasts. People kept throwing shade at the court proceedings. Live in the courtroom. Eucaxia saw the witness couldn't control herself and banged the gavel. Witness for the plaintiff, please control your emotions. You can't insult the defendant in court. This is your official warning. Hearing the judge's words, Wang Min calmed right down. Sorry, Your Honor. I didn't control my emotions in court. Eucaxia stayed completely expressionless. Witness Wang Min, is your statement finished? Your Honor, I'm done. Court officer, please escort the witness out. After Wang Min left the courtroom, Eucaxia looked at Li Mu. Regarding what the plaintiff's witness said, Land Bank failed to protect the client's property in the lobby. Does the defendant Land Bank want to add anything? About what happened at that time? Li Mu clenched his fists, making himself calm down. This lawsuit is really tough for him. It's honestly too much for him. He even feels like he's going to lose. After taking a deep breath, he calmed down. Judge, just now the plaintiff's witness in court insulted Land Bank right there. So I'm questioning the plaintiff witness's mental state. Therefore, I think the plaintiff witness's words in court are not enough to be considered evidence. Li Mu finished thinking and noticed you across. Your mouth slightly lifted in a smile. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Just as Eucaxia was considering if she agrees with Li Mu's request. You raised your hand. Eucaxia noticed this. She asked, does the plaintiff's lawyer have anything to say? Or anything else to add? You smiled a little. You raised the materials in your hand, looking carefully. There are about a dozen pages. Li Mu looked at you with confusion. You smiled at Li Mu. Then you said, Judge, our side agrees with the defendant's lawyer's request. But we have several more witnesses who can accuse Land Bank of not protecting clients' property in the bank. The courtroom staff looked totally lost. Li Mu's eyebrows were tightly furrowed. Are you ever going to stop? The courtroom staff looked totally lost. Li Mu's eyebrows were tightly furrowed. Are you ever going to stop? He's really triggered now. Li Mu doesn't even know how to describe his feelings right now. He just made it clear that the opposing witness may have mental issues. You didn't debate this with me and just pulled out a bunch of witness info. Why are you so sly? This is crazy. Li Mu has fought so many cases, but has never seen anything like this. This is just too much. You smiled at the scene, quietly looking at the triggered Li Mu. Weren't you acting all arrogant? Didn't you think you could keep debating me? Well, I'm not debating you anymore. Saying this witness might have mental issues. What about the others? They can't all be like that, right? Go ahead, keep it going. Come on, keep going. Arrogance isn't just mocking others, right? Wasn't it outside of court? When you did interviews with reporters, acting all tough? Do you look down on me? At Baizhang Law Firm, focusing on marriage counseling? What's wrong with marriage counseling? Even in criminal cases, I can still question you till you're lost. Noticed your gaze. Li Mu was fully triggered. He really wanted to curse, but held back. At least you can't curse in court. It's a live streaming trial now. If he swears, not only will Land Bank lose its image, he'll also become famous in legal circles. Or worse, he might even be considered a classic case in the legal world as a negative example for years. Thinking about this ending, Li Mu instantly calmed down, got his feelings under control, looked down at the material, smiled again, then said, Judge, we have enough evidence to show that the bank can't protect clients' property. So we request, regarding just now, the defendant Land Bank's lawyer's defense, to revoke it. Eucaxia banged the gavel, denied the plaintiff's application reason, grounds for denial. On the bank's side, legally, they have a duty to safeguard clients' property. The evidence presented by the plaintiff isn't enough for a universal agreement to the claim. Reason for agreement, defendant Land Bank, to fulfill its duty in protecting bank client safety. At the moment the gavel was struck, Eucaxia's judgment reason was clearly explained. But some people who don't fully get it in the trial live stream didn't know what that means. So they asked, Professor Luo, what's with both denying and agreeing? Yeah, I'm so confused watching this. Professor Luo, explain please. Law commentator Luo Daxiang smiled, then explained Eucaxia's ruling. The reason for denying the plaintiff's application is The plaintiff's claim and evidence shows the bank doesn't have a duty to protect client's property, but according to law, the bank must ensure client property safety inside the bank. Land bank wins cases against its victim clients. But that doesn't mean it's universal. If the ruling had been agreed, it would mean the bank doesn't have the duty to protect client property. But if the ruling had been denied, in this debate, Land Bank didn't fulfill its obligations. So what now? This is where Judge Eucaxia did something clever. She denied the plaintiff's reason, upholding the law's authority, but agreed to the request, showing Land Bank really didn't do enough. This lawsuit, Blue Bank took the wrong approach from the start. They completely fell into the opponent's arguments. Luo Daxiang shook his head slightly. This lawsuit, Blue Bank is probably going to lose. Blue Bank is going to lose. Professor Luo says Blue Bank is going to lose. Looks like Blue Bank is doomed. That's right. Do you even know who Professor Luo is? Luo Daxiang glanced at the comments and smiled. Alright, this lawsuit is almost over. Let's check out the closing statements and the verdict. The court's ruling for Caixia. Limo raised his hand to question. The presiding judge hasn't let me continue speaking. I request that the previous ruling be voided. Eucaxia requests invalidation. What does request invalidation even mean? Presiding judge, I'd like to ask why Eucaxia's request is invalid. The verdict has been reached. The defendant has been notified their request is invalid. If the defendant still insists on requesting, they can file for administrative review after court. But for now, the request is invalid. Defense attorney, if you keep pushing this topic, you'll get a second warning. Limo looked towards the judge. He felt powerless, about to burst from frustration. He forced out a few words. Yes, Your Honor. Eucaxia casually glanced at the defense, specifically in Limo's direction. She looked again. You struck the gavel.
Now.
Plaintiff and defense, please make your final statements. Plaintiff's counsel, please make your closing statement. Yes, Your Honor. Closing statement. The key is whether you can move the judge. You were ready for this early on. You're not going for drama. As long as the case is handled properly, they won't push and Wang Li will get a lighter sentence. Based on his prior experience with Caixia, this judge values interpretation of the law most. That is, the actual statutes. You slowly stood up. Your Honor, members of the court, based on our submitted lawsuit and evidence, we have nothing further to add. I just want to say, justice will never misjudge a good person, nor a bad one. I hope. The verdict follows the regular legal process. Remember your oath. Eucaxia looked at you with satisfaction. A slight nod. Plaintiff's statement finished. Now it's the defense's turn. Limo knew this last statement was Blue Bank's final chance, because he could feel this case wasn't looking good. Limo slowly rose and said, Your Honor, members of the court, in this case, Blue Bank is the victim. I think it's natural to care, but the law is emotionless. Blue Bank is still the victim. The plaintiff's request that the victim pays damages just doesn't make sense. That's all. Eucaxia listened to Limo's statement and looked at the bench expressionlessly, directly facing the defendant, Wang Li. Defendant, please give your final statement. Wang Li looked up at the judge's bench, then glanced in your direction. Your Honor, members of the court, I have no objection to this trial. I accept any judgment. That's my statement. Court is adjourned. 30-minute break. After 30 minutes, the verdict will be announced. Caixia struck the gavel. Court is in recess. The moment Eucaxia announced the break, everyone in the courtroom stood up. They watched Eucaxia and the other two judges leave the bench. Court is in recess. Everyone's anxious about the upcoming verdict, nervous and uneasy, except for one person. That's Li Zuzin. Her palms are sweaty. This is her first time attending a trial in person. She also saw you argue in court. Although the arguments are over, the verdict is still up in the air, so she's super nervous. Li Zuzin looked curiously at Attorney Su. Aren't you nervous about the verdict? This is a major case, and it's a live-streamed trial. I heard the whole city's talking about it. You're really not worried at all. You smiled slightly. No need to stress. If it's time for a verdict, so be it. If not, it won't be. Trust the process. We're not the ones who need to worry. Look at Attorney Li. As Blue Bank's legal counsel, He should be way more nervous than we are. Li Zuzin glanced at Li Mo, who was looking her way. She couldn't help but say, Attorney Sue. Attorney Li seems to be looking at us. You looked up and noticed. Li Mo was staring with anger and nerves. All kinds of negative emotions mixed together. Staring intensely at you. You smiled. Don't worry about Attorney Li. He's just doing eye exercises. Eye exercises? What? Li Zuzin didn't get that joke. But she knew you were joking. She just nodded quietly and didn't say anything else. Meanwhile, after the recess, the 3 judges, which includes the presiding judge and the 2 judges, made their final decision about this case. Do either of you have any thoughts? Kexia looked at the other 2 judges. One of them said, regarding the plaintiff stating Wang Li is not guilty. They did argue the law in court and provided some evidence. But the first trial gave 20 years. The appeal upheld the verdict. If our final verdict is way different, it might cause controversy. The other judge nodded in agreement. Kexia frowned slightly. The verdict should follow the law. No need to consider the first and second trials. Let's just follow the presiding judge's conclusion. The 3 of them made a final suggestion. Kexia will deliver the verdict. Outside, viewers and reporters watching the live stream are anxiously waiting for the 30-minute recess. Some of the reporters are swearing out loud. They thought Blue Bank would definitely win. Even set up a close-up interview. But looking at it now, it's all for nothing. Damn, if only they'd interviewed that lawyer from the Baijun law firm instead. It would have been a hit online. Seriously, what a regret. If anyone had managed to interview that Baijun law firm lawyer, they'd really cash in. Outside the court, the reporters kept talking. A young female reporter's eyes lit up. She was already at the scene among all the media, when no one believed in the Baijun law firm. I went for an interview. I never thought we'd make this much this time. Got the chance to go from intern to full-time. The 30 minutes in court flew by. Everyone watching this case is anxious for the final verdict. As Kexia and the other 2 judges walked up to the bench, the clerk called everyone to stand. Everyone at the hearing stood up quickly. Li Mo looked nervously at the judges. About the outcome of this trial, he's completely unsure right now. All he can do is wait for Kexia to announce the verdict. Guang glanced at the plaintiff and saw you looked relaxed. His heart suddenly sank. Kexia held the verdict documents and began to speak slowly under everyone's gaze. This case is being heard by our court. That is the Landa High Court's final appeal. Plaintiff Wang Li, defendant Landa Bank. Our court has jurisdiction over this case. All applicable laws are based on national law. According to our criminal law, using violence or threats to rob a company is required to constitute robbery. The prosecution accused Wang Li, the plaintiff, of being an accomplice to robbery, but the legal elements aren't met. Wang Li did not commit the crime of robbery, but Wang Li knew the money was illegal and still used it to pay for her father's bills. She's suspected of unjust enrichment and laundering, and of hiding criminal proceeds, given the circumstances, and how urgent it was, considering Wang Li had lost basic judgment at the time. The charge is re-evaluated. Wang Li is sentenced to 6 months in prison, with 1 year probation, and must return the illegal gains. Regarding the plaintiff's claim against Landa Bank is indeed involved. Landa Bank must apologize to Wang Li. All other claims are dismissed. As for the defendant's requests, they are all rejected. This is the final judgment. According to our litigation law, the court will send the verdict to all parties within 10 days after court. The gavel falls. Biting's voice trails off with Kexia's announcement. This final hearing is now over. Upon hearing the judgment, Li Mo completely broke down. Landa Bank lost, badly, and lost in a totally devastating way. Wang Li was not convicted of robbery. The first and second trial verdicts were overturned, and she only got 6 months. Not just 6 months, but also probation. What does probation mean? Probation means that Wang Li doesn't have to go to jail at all, as long as she obeys the law and doesn't break the law. The sentence is basically like nothing happened. The moment the verdict was read, Li Mu, the Landa Bank legal officer, nearly lost it. Landa Bank legal department. Yu Jiqiang watched the trial live, and when he heard the result, he froze for a second and let out a long sigh. While watching the live trial, He had a bad feeling that they were going to lose this one, but he didn't expect the verdict would be this harsh. Wang Li getting probation is one thing, but Land Bank also has to apologize to her. Who can handle that? For a moment, Suji Kang had no idea what to do. If he tells Wang Wu about this outcome, he can already picture himself packing his things and leaving. In the Land Bank president's office, Wang Wu was watching the live stream, which ended as the court adjourned. He was furious. He stormed into the legal office. Suji Kang, how did you promise me? Didn't you say Land Bank would definitely win? And we'd win in public opinion too. This is your idea of a win. Earlier in the legal office, Wang Wu and Suji Kang watched the trial together. He was fuming. But after returning to his office, he couldn't help sneaking a look at the live stream. This trial isn't just about winning the case. It's about Land Bank's reputation. Land Bank is just a local bank. If our reputation suffers, the bank's losses are huge. After watching the whole trial, Wang Wu's feelings were a roller coaster, not just ups and downs. It was all just down, so much that he went numb. There were no ups at all. When the verdict was announced, Wang Wu just couldn't take it.
He went straight to the legal office to confront Suji Kang.
The head of legal, Yuji Kang, felt wronged. Who would have thought? A rookie lawyer who mainly does divorce work could be this fierce in a criminal case. Absolutely killed it in court and had to face Yu Kexia, a highly experienced chief judge. The final verdict was well supported. There's no way to appeal. President, this was our legal department's mistake. But even though we lost, we didn't lose everything. All we have to do is apologize. As long as we win in public opinion, Land Bank will still come out ahead. Wang Wu narrowed his eyes. Public opinion, my ass. Our bank was ordered to apologize. Forget about the public narrative. Do you think I'm an idiot? We lost. What narrative is left? Suji Kang looked troubled. He was just speaking offhand. He had no idea how to win public favor. He only said that to calm Wang Wu down. Wang Wu saw right through him.
He immediately waved his hand.
I'm giving you one chance to fix this. If we lose because of this trial, and our bank's reputation is ruined, you can pack your bags and leave. Manager Wang, Suji Kang tried to speak, but Wang Wu gave him no chance.
He left the legal office in a rage.
Suji Kang looked gloomy. He thought his plan was foolproof. Who knew a top-tier criminal lawyer would appear? A marriage lawyer this good? The courtroom scene was infuriating. After the court adjourned, Yu Kexia and the other two judges left the courtroom. Since Wang Li wasn't declared innocent on the spot and was suspected of unjust enrichment, even though it was a suspended sentence, procedures still had to be followed. She was led away by the bailiffs. Li Zuzhen looked at the lawyer excitedly. We won this lawsuit. We won. Wang Li was sentenced, but only for a few months. And it's a suspended sentence compared to the first trial, where she got 20 years in prison. This trial was a massive victory. Li Zuzhen jumped slightly on her toes. Her body trembled with excitement. You glanced at the thrilled Li Zuzhen. A slight smile touched your lips. Hadn't you said it already? This lawsuit was bound to be won. Yu Kexia's ruling was exactly as you predicted. With any ordinary lawyer, even if the sentence wasn't this light, the second trial wouldn't have upheld the first. The previous lawyer was just too weak. They found a golden-tongued lawyer for the second trial. That was impressive enough. In this litigation, actually, a few key points weren't even raised. But the crux of this case was whether Wen Li committed robbery. That was the most critical point. Once that was denied, the charges from Land Bank and the prosecution were completely dismantled. Then there was the presiding judge's attitude. Wang Li's case was very unique. Both previous trials gave 20 years. Final trials usually favor previous rulings. Luckily, Judge Yu Kexia is a veteran judge committed to upholding the law. This result wasn't a surprise. All right, don't be so excited. Clean up the documents. There are still things to handle. We're still going to be busy. Okay, Lawyer Su. Li Zuzhen suppressed her excitement. She obediently organized the files, followed behind you, and prepared to leave the courtroom. On the other side, Li Mo stared at you. His eyes were full of despair, or perhaps resentment and jealousy. Anyway, it was complicated. As you walked past, Li Zuzhen whispered, Lawyer Su, that Land Bank lawyer, seems very unhappy with you. You smiled slightly. Maybe he did too many eye exercises. Let's just keep going. Okay, Lawyer Sue. That was a funny joke. Then laugh more. Okay, Lawyer Sue. Hee hee, Li Zuzan followed quietly. Limo heard this conversation and nearly spat out blood in rage. Forget about the eye exercise joke. But when you two walk past me, can't you whisper lower? You're so close and so loud. Do you think I'm deaf? But a loss is a loss. Anger in court is useless. The final verdict is out. After Limo packed his things, he followed behind you and walked out of the court. Reporters were waiting to interview. Some were even calling in headlines, ready for the shocker. Shocking reversal in Wang Li case. Landabank actually. Arrogant Landabank meets its doom. Justice finally prevails. Landabank faces justice. And things like that. Clickbait titles? The more shocking, the better. When you walked out of court, media outlets swarmed you. Cameras and mics were thrust forward. Lawyer Sue, please. Regarding your defense in court today, what are your thoughts? How did you think of making the bank prove that the bank's money belongs to the bank? Lawyer Sue, we understand. Your firm is just for marriage consulting. Why did you perform so brilliantly in this criminal litigation? Lawyer Sue, Lawyer Sue. Wasn't this a great chance to advertise? Facing the reporters, with cameras chasing every move, you simply straightened your suit. Our firm handles marriage consulting, but we excel in criminal and civil cases. We cover all legal fields. That's why we won this case. If you need a lawyer, choose Baijun Law Firm first. Showing a bright, white smile. You looked incredibly sincere. After the advertisement, you quickly left with Li Zuzan. Only the Landabank staff remained. At that moment, media found a new sensational angle. They swarmed toward Limo. Lawyer Li, please. How do you feel being so confident, yet losing to an unknown firm? You said Landabank's win was certain. Told us not to worry. Did you secretly think they would lose? Lawyer Li, tell us. Do you have ties to the defense layer? You're stabbing right where it hurts. Killing me with words, huh? What do you mean by that? Suspecting I'm a mole? Limo was going crazy. Other reporters heard the hot question, and their eyes lit up. They had a natural instinct for news, which meant setting traps for people. Some unscrupulous reporters, looking for a gimmick, rushed to surround Limo. Lawyer Li, what did you learn from this loss? Did you lose on purpose? Or perhaps, Lawyer Li, is your ability worse than a marriage consultant? Lawyer Li, how will this loss affect Landabank's reputation? Lawyer Li, don't walk away. Please answer our questions. Unlike the last time, Limo walked into court with confidence, but left having lost the case and feeling utterly humiliated. What kind of bullshit questions are these? This isn't just a stab in the heart anymore. It's like being kicked while you're down. Facing the reporters, Limo knew the more he spoke, the more these vultures would swarm. He kept his head down in silence, but still stood tall, leaving with his dignity as a lawyer. A female reporter captured Limo's exit from behind quietly. She then sent it to her editor, who replied immediately. This is huge news. I've already got the headline. It's called The Silent Silhouette, waiting for years, sharpening his blade for a decade, all to make Landabank lose, bearing the infamy alone. Isn't this the perfect silent silhouette? This Limo will be famous soon. Limo, listen to me. Thanks. I really fucking thank you. Inside Platinum Law Firm, you look at the system panel. Congrats on winning. Reward. Open bronze chest now. As the voice fades, text appears on the screen.
Congrats, you gained basic micro-expression observation.
The system issues a new task. Complete 20 consultations or 2 cases. Chests will vary by rating. Bronze, silver, or gold.
Consultations and cases?
That's just your job as a lawyer. You ignore that for a moment and focus on the text about basic micro-expression observation. Basic micro-expression observation? It means reading people's micro-expressions to get simple information. You call her over. Li Zuzan is the perfect person to test this on. Li Zuzan was organizing files, coming into the office. Lawyer Sue, did you call me? You look at Li Zuzan's resume again. since the case was so urgent. You hadn't really checked her info. But seeing it today, something feels a bit off. Your resume. It says you're a law university senior. Interning this year. During your first 3 years, you did multiple moot courts, handled real trials, and met many big-shot lawyers. With a resume like this, you could work at any top firm. Why come to a small place like this? Oh no, I've been caught. Li Zuzan's face stiffens slightly, but she quickly recovers. Lawyer Su, I made all that up. If I really had that much experience, why would I be here? Right, so you faked your resume. Li Zuzan is struck speechless, not knowing how to respond. Seeing this, you understand everything. You smile to ease the tension. I was just asking, fake or not, you're part of this firm now. Work hard. I'll make you a partner one day. Let's make it big. Okay, Lawyer Su. Let's make it big. Li Zuzan looks very serious. You were just blowing smoke. But she actually believed you. You wave your hand and let her get back to work. Once she leaves the office, you realize the skill is useful. Even if its level is low, from your observation, you can tell her background is legit. What she said meant, how could an ordinary undergrad meet so many elite lawyers? She must be a protege of a legal giant. Curious, you check the university website, looking through the faculty. Finally, your eyes lock onto a top-tier legal professor. I thought I just hired a free intern. I was just being a greedy capitalist, but I actually hit the jackpot. Closing the computer, you decide to play dumb. This connection will be useful later. After Wang Li's trial ended, the media rushed to report on it, all targeting Landa Bank, your drama bank comment, and how to prove bank money is the bank's. Went viral instantly. Landa Bank's reputation took a massive hit, and right at that moment, a comparison video blew up online. It starts with a confident Limo saying, as for the winning probability, don't worry. I think everyone can judge for themselves. The video ends with Limo's tall silhouette, titled The Silent Silhouette. The caption says, Landa Bank's lawyer Li knew from the start that Landa Bank was going to lose. Why? Because he's so honorable. He infiltrated Landa Bank alone to let a marriage firm win, destroying Landa Bank's reputation. What is this? This is fucking undercover. 10 years for one move. Once the video was out, it was pushed to everyone. Netizens started joking below. First time seeing an undercover layer. That's some next level play. Damn, I can't believe the logic. Can you even whitewash a shitty lawyer like that? Holy crap, genius. That's just the internet for you. Even those who knew the truth couldn't help but join in. LMA, oh, this script is gold. 10 years undercover for one move. Wait for my return. I can't even finish this joke. Next person, please. At Landa Bank's internal meeting, Wang Wu held up the video, his eyes filled with rage. What does this mean? Living off the bank, drinking on the bank's dime. Why does the bank pay you anyway? I'm reporting this now. Li Mo, for damaging the bank's image, has caused serious negative impact. So we're officially firing Li Mo. You can take your stuff and leave. Li Mo saw the video content. So this is how I go viral, huh? Fine, I quit. I don't believe I can't find another job.
He packed up and left Blue Bank right away.
Blue Bank faced huge backlash from the live court stream, which had a really big effect. The bank's reputation hit rock bottom, so the bank had to apologize to its clients and compensate for the previous court loss, covering all client losses from missing funds to win back some of its reputation. Blue Bank's fix-it-after-failure strategy barely made a dent in public opinion. Blue Bank then spent big to pay off the media, hoping to control the narrative, but netizens just didn't buy it, even tried to suppress trending topics, and threw more cash at it, spent a fortune hoping to calm things down. After spending a big sum, they finally got some results. But then they ran into legal commentator Luo Daxiang. He posted a video titled The Most Epic Courtroom Defense I've Seen This Year. The video was all about Wang Liang. Luo Daxiang, a famous legal reviewer, has a huge influence online. Every video he posts gets crazy shares and views. Once this video dropped, the media bought off by Blue Bank immediately went silent. In the video, Luo Daxiang broke down tons of legal points from the courtroom. He also explained why the lawyer argued from that angle and discussed the key case issues. Even though in the courtroom video, Bluebank was blurred out, everyone who knows can tell it's Bluebank. There were lots of helpful comments, and Bluebank took another huge reputation hit. All Wang Wu wants to say is, I'm so freaking pissed off. Compared to the online buzz, Baijun law firm was much quieter. In the 2 days after the case, there were quite a few people coming in for legal advice, but most just tested the waters and left. Some dropped by to probe, hoping for some free legal tips. Once they heard there's a fee, most just left. Not a single case. Some women came just to let off steam and asked you about marriage issues. You sent them all to Li Zuzhen. Women relate better to each other, right? So you passed the consultations to Li Zuzhen. Nothing wrong with that, right? But the people who came saw that Li Zuzhen was handling it, and for some reason, usually left in under 10 minutes. After a couple days, with less attention, the number of consults dropped a lot. You finally got some free time. You spent almost 5,000 yuan in 2 days to fix up the office a bit, at least on the outside. It looked a lot more legit than before. Spent another 5,000 on some basic office supplies. Overall, the law firm finally looked like a proper firm. Yeah, way better than before. You nodded, satisfied, aiming big. This is a small step forward, but the firm was still pretty empty. No new cases coming in. Looks like online ads aren't working. Paid ads in media didn't help either. During this time, you got lots of offers to handle criminal cases at other firms. Actually, quite a few. Still, no direct cases for yourself. But working for others is nothing compared to being your own boss. Turn them all down. On the 10th day after the trial, around 1:30 in the afternoon, the sun was blazing. It was a little hot outside. You sipped your tea, chilling with the AC. Li Zuzhen was busy under Mr. Luo's video, promoting the firm. Her advertising style was honest and plain. Nothing flashy at all. She left comments like this. The lawyer who won this case is from Blue-White Baijun law firm. Lawyer Li is top-notch, an expert in civil and administrative cases. Choose Blue-White Baijun law firm for results. Half an hour later, Li Zuzhen started copying and pasting on autopilot. She couldn't help asking, Attorney Sue, does this kind of advertising really work? I feel like our comments aren't doing anything. We're not getting any private messages at all. Of course, it works, but one comment won't do much. You just have to keep at it. Besides, don't you want more cases? And to get more trial experience? After you go permanent, you'll be a top lawyer. You said all this very seriously, pumping up Li Zuzhen, the energetic intern. Li Zuzhen looked all serious and said, okay, let's keep going. Got it, Attorney Sue. She doubled down, copy-pasting the comments again. You glance at the date. Wang Li should have finished parole processing today.
He set up with Wang Zhejiang to settle legal fees today.
So it's about time. Sure enough, just as you were thinking, Wang Zhejiang and his wife, helped by Wang Li, slowly walked up to Baijun law firm. Smiles couldn't be hidden from their faces. Their son just got probation instead of 20 years in jail. For an old couple like them, that's a lifesaver. Otherwise, at their age, they never have seen. The day their son was released, probably would have died with regret. You gave them new hope. Wang Li was also grinning. This lawsuit made him believe in your skills. If not for you, by the time he got out, he'd be totally out of touch with society. He was truly grateful to you. He helped the couple into the law firm. Attorney Sue, wait up. Go slower. Wang Zhejiang slipped out of Wang Li's arm and walked into the office. Wang Li almost couldn't keep up. On the brand new office couch, you handed out 3 bottles of water to Wang Zhejiang's family sitting there. You also gave Wang Li the verdict. This is the final court decision. It was left with me before. Keep it safe. Don't lose it. Wang Li carefully and seriously folded the verdict several times, made it pocket size, and put it away. Then he pulled a black bag from his pack and said, Attorney Sue, per our contract, the legal fee is around 100,000 yuan. My dad and I already discussed it. And if it wasn't for you, Attorney Sue, I'm afraid I'll have to do at least 10 years. Now I got a suspended sentence. It's just a few months. Here's 120,000. I know it's not much. It's my way of saying thanks. Please take it. Wang Li forced the money into your arms. Wang Zizhong and Zhang Kuifen were afraid you'd refuse. They chimed in too. Lawyer Su, you've got a lot of cases right now. We're really counting on you. Compared to other lawyers' fees, this is actually pretty low. Just take it, please. Yeah, you helped our family so much. This thank you fee really isn't a lot. Don't stand on ceremony. To be honest, for a case like this in a second trial, those golden-tongued lawyers charge 188,000. He made it so Wang Li doesn't need to go to jail. So it's not too much to ask. Lawyer fees are usually based on how hard the case is. When they saw you take the money, Wang Li let out a huge sigh of relief. She seemed to remember something and asked you a question. Lawyer, are you familiar with marriage law? You look up at Wang Li. Wait, are you planning to file for divorce too? You lock eyes with Wang Li. And now you want a civil suit to spice things up? Wang Li shifted in her seat. The brand new sofa actually squeaked. To be honest. Lawyer Su, I'm actually thinking about it. My wife and I have been married 5 years. No kid either. Last time my dad got really sick, that woman didn't even visit him in the hospital. She even said, "Your dad's old. What does it matter?" Said he didn't need the hospital at all. I was too busy worrying about my dad back then, so I didn't argue with her. Then came the bank situation. My folks have always worried about me. But my wife, man, that woman never came to see me, not even once. Not a single word of concern. I bet she's been waiting for me to go in, so she can get her hands on our family's money. Now that I'm out, I really want a divorce. You listen carefully to Wang Li's story. During the whole bank case, you never saw her wife show up. So yeah, looks like things aren't good between them, with all this stuff combined. If Wang Li still doesn't want a divorce, he'd be the MVP of holding out. No doubt about it. So what are you thinking now? After your question, Wang Li shook her head. Lawyer Su, I'm still on probation. I'm worried the case might stir up trouble. The real reason I asked was to introduce you a divorce case. It's my best buddy. He wants to file. Divorce case, Lawyer Su. If you take divorce cases, I can refer my buddy to you. Wang Li really meant it with this recommendation. Having a case and thinking of you first thing. She's just too much. That's someone worth dealing with. And promoted his law firm in front of the media. The promo was loud and clear, but still no new cases. Can you tell me more about your buddy? Only cares if the story pops. Trying to get cases through publicity alone was just wishful thinking. He didn't expect Wang Li to show up today and bring this unexpected surprise. Absolutely, I can. You should know that. Wang Li, a 30-year-old dude. Last time you helped me with a case, it really stuck in my mind. Yep, that's my specialty. Awkwardly scratched his head. But I'm good with civil and marriage cases too. No false modesty from you. So now I just assume. Just telling it like it is. He actually knows his stuff in every type of case. So it's not wrong to say. Awesome. With Lawyer Su on it. My buddy's divorce is looking a lot better. Almost a little high. Way too happy for his friend to get divorced. You seem pretty happy about him getting divorced. Finally out of this mess. Wang Li looked super excited, hearing you mention his friend's divorce. Yeah, finally out. Netizens only want a dramatic trial. Wang Li's face instantly turned furious. If he gets a divorce, it's way more than just out of misery. It's basically straight to heaven. Wang Li slammed a fist on the couch. Even madder than when talking about his own wife. Left a fist-sized dent right away. About 2 centimeters deep. Yikes, this couch is new. Wang Li looked at the dent in the sofa. Sorry about that. Got worked up as a lawyer for a sec. The main thing is my buddy's wife. Don't break it now. I really don't know what to say. Like one of those outrageous people you see online. Even worse, honestly. That's why I'm so... You can see some real pain in Wang Li's eyes. Yeah, pain's the word. A few days ago, he won a lawsuit in court. He's heartbroken for his friend. Seeing your brand new sofa. Lawyer Su, you get it, right? You feel a little heartbroken too. Mad, I just can't stand it for him. Just bought it for $800. No need to get worked up for him yet. Tell me what's up with your buddy first. You straighten your suit a bit. And call in Li Zuzan. Get ready to take notes. And started filling you in on the case. Tell me what's up with your buddy first. You straighten your suit a bit. And call in Li Zuzan. Get ready to take notes. Wang Li nodded hard. And started filling you in on the case. My childhood friend is an honest guy. He's a programmer earning about 20,000 yuan a month. Height, 172 centimeters. Weight, 65 kilogram. His family got compensation from Nanjing University's demolition. They have 3 apartments. His parents live in one. He and his wife live in another. The third was rented out. But his wife said her coworker wanted to rent it. So they stopped renting it out. Figured might as well rent to her coworker. But unexpectedly, his wife secretly let her brother live there. Let me tell you about his wife first. She's from another province. Her family's not well off. She's about the same age as my friend. Around 30. About 160 centimeters tall. Height, 162 centimeters. Weight, 55 kilogram. She makes 3,000 yuan a month. She has 2 younger brothers. Her parents have no social security or anything. They do odd jobs here and there, maybe earn around 2,000 yuan a month. As for her brothers, one dropped out of middle school. He stays home and lives off their parents. The other graduated college a year ago. Still doesn't have a job. My friend is really just a nice, honest guy.
He hands over all his paycheck at home.
His wife always spends everything she earns. She even spends all of his money too. My friend buys cigarettes one at a time. Saves money for a single cigarette each day. The more you hear, the crazier it sounds. What's he even getting out of this? Li Zuzan, taking notes, listens to Wang Li's story, and can't help but frown. As a woman, she also thinks this is just too much. This doesn't feel like a marriage at all. Isn't he just being treated like a cash machine? And the type who just takes it all without complaint. The guy's like a total sucker now. In Li Zuzan's mind, this thought suddenly pops up. You can't listen anymore. So you cut Wang Li off. Just get to the main point. Why are they getting divorced? Because my friend's wife says he doesn't love her. Wow, Li Zuzan is speechless. Wang Li keeps talking. Because of this, his wife insists on the divorce. My friend figured fine, just do it. He's had enough anyway. But when they started splitting the assets, he found out. His wife had already moved most of his premarital property into joint marital assets. Now she wants to split it all. What was supposed to be his marital property got spent by his wife on handbags, cosmetics, and a bunch of beauty treatments. If they just get divorced now, my friend will basically leave with nothing. He might even lose everything. Now you finally get it after hearing this. Saying not in love was just an excuse. Turns out this was her plan all along. The guy figured it out a bit too late. If Wang Li's a top player nationwide, then her friend is the final boss. He got squeezed dry for all the marital assets during the marriage. Once all the premarital assets got shifted over, she used falling out of love as the reason for divorce. That's just wild. This move is ruthless, really. You quietly listened to Wang Li's story. After your explanation, I understand this case now. Looks like our law firm can take it. But you still need to ask your friend first and see if he wants to hire our firm. Otherwise, we can't move to the next step. Got it, Lawyer Su. As soon as I get back, I'll talk to my friend right away. After Wang Li and Wang Zizhong leave, you weigh the black bag they gave you. Then you tell Li Zuzan, don't run any ads yet. Sort out the details of Wang Li's case first. I'm heading out for a bit. Okay, Lawyer Su. Li Zuzan clears the desk and nods, notebook in hand. You head out of the law firm and go to the bank. You deposit 120,000 yuan into the account, adding that to the previous balance. There's a bit more than 150,000 yuan total. For now, the firm's debt problem is solved. Seeing the bank balance reminder, you feel a lot better. Right now, this is enough to cover the law firm's basic expenses for a while. Back at the office, Li Zuzan has already sorted out Wang Li's file. Lawyer Su, I've finished organizing Wang Li's material. Lawyer Su, can I ask you something? Are there really women like Wang Li's friend's wife? If we take this case, how should we handle it? I feel like we should hit back as hard as possible. That kind of person is just awful. You take the file from Li Zuzan, look it over briefly, make sure everything's in order, and set it on the desk. You look up at Li Zuzan. Li Zuzan looks nervous. Lawyer Su, did I say something wrong? You tap your fingers on the table, look at Li Zuzin, and find it kind of funny. It reminds you of a student scared of punishment from their teacher. You clear your throat. This is your second lesson at the firm. Do you remember the first lesson? The first lesson? Li Zuzin hesitates about the second lesson. Not too sure. First lesson was about social skills. You nod, satisfied. Good, you remember well. That's right, you got it. First lesson is about social skills. What's the second lesson? Do you know? Li Zuzin shakes her head. Honestly, I don't know. Then remember this. The second lesson is when facing clients. Just do your job for the money. Once we're hired for the case, don't get too empathetic. No matter if Wang Li's friend's wife really did those things or not. As long as the client hires us, the firm puts the client first. That's it. As for other stuff,
If it's unrelated to the case.
it's not our business. Understand? Okay. Lawyer Su, I get it. Li Zuzin nods seriously. The legal business is really just about getting paid and solving people's problems. Help clients win their cases. That's the basic rule for us lawyers. No need to overthink it. Too much empathy never works. Around 5 to 6 in the afternoon, with dusk coming, you get a call from Wang Li. She says she and her friend agreed to hire Bai Zhen Law Firm for the case. They'll come by soon to discuss the details. You tell Li Zuzin to prepare. Li Zuzin is excited about the new case. Last time it was a criminal case. He learned a lot from it. This time it's a civil case. Especially about marriage and family, a hot specialty. He really wants to know what the situation with Wang Li's friend actually is. Soon Wang Li brings her friend to Bai Zhen Law Firm. Compared with Wang Li, you think her friend looks like he just came out of a detention center. He looks totally drained.
Honestly.
This marriage really messed him up. Come on in, have a seat. You warmly invite them in. You ask Li Zuzin to make some tea to help everyone wake up. Wang Li sits on the couch. She gives a brief intro of her childhood friend. Her name is Zhang Tong. Compared to Wang Li's summary of the case, Zhang Tongwei, as someone involved, explains things in more detail. It's also more useful that way. You listen closely to Zhang Tongwei's description of all the details about the case. Sometimes you toss in some key questions. After about an hour and a half, you finally get the whole picture. Married for 3 years, no kids. So there's no child support involved. They barely have any joint assets and actually share a lot of debt. As for Zhang Tongwei's premarital property, it's 3 apartments. 2 of them became joint property after marriage. You're curious about this part. According to marriage law, property owned before marriage is protected by law. Even if Zhang Tongwei sold the apartments, the money would still count as premarital property. Even any increase in value would still be his own. So how did Zhang Tongwei's wife manage to turn those into joint property? How did your 2 apartments end up becoming marital property? Thinking about it, Zhang Tongwei just wants to slap himself. I was mad at my wife back then, and nothing I did made things right. I finally asked her what would fix it. She said I needed to write a pledge for her. She wanted me to put a clause about transferring the apartment. I was just set on making her happy, so I wrote it the way she wanted. Never thought, really didn't think, that it could count as proof in the divorce to split property. And not just that, even though we're not divorced yet, she keeps buying household stuff online on credit. The more debt, the better, apparently. Since I refuse to divorce, all debts become our shared responsibility. Isn't that just deliberately racking up marital debt? But the thing is, she's buying things for the house. So as for whether she's intentionally creating debt, it's really hard to judge.
Clearly.
Zhang Tongwei's wife is ruthless. Suddenly you remember something. Does your wife have any lawyer friends? Zhang Tongwei frowns a little. Lawyer friends? No, not really. But there's a famous female marriage lawyer here at Lanzhou University. She makes short videos explaining property division in marriage. My wife always watches her videos. She used to say, if we ever split up, she'd hire that lawyer for the case. I'd end up with nothing. Back when I just got married, I didn't pay attention to that. But now that you mention it, Lawyer Su, it actually rings a bell. How did you know, Lawyer Su? Zhang Tongwei looks a little surprised. You give a faint smile. Based on what Zhang Tongwei said, isn't this just using the law to drain the guy dry? No average woman would have that many tricks up her sleeve. She clearly had someone advising her behind the scenes, someone who specializes in family law. Only a professional would know property laws and premarital property issues that well. Most ordinary people have no idea how to protect their own premarital property. It's easy to get trapped. That's why people say you shouldn't marry someone who knows the law, especially if she knows marriage law. Otherwise, you could fall right into a trap anytime and lose everything, even your underwear, leaving the marriage with nothing. You worked for years just to give her everything in the end. You still haven't answered Zhang Tongwei yet. Wang Li gets anxious for you. Lawyer Su is a pro when it comes to marriage law. It's not hard for her to figure it out from a few questions. Aren't you kind of doubting her skills by asking that? Think about it without Lawyer Su. I'd probably still be in detention.
But no.
Lawyer Su is not just an expert in criminal law. She's also a pro in marriage counseling. Hearing what his friend Wang Li says, Zhang Tongwei thinks even more highly of your legal abilities, criminal and family law both. She can handle it all. Basically, she's an all-around lawyer. That makes Zhang Tongwei feel more at ease. Lawyer Su, do I even stand a chance here? I want to know, what are the odds I can win? And if I do win, how much can I get back? You can see the worry in Zhang Tongwei's eyes. After all, this is everything his parents worked for. A single apartment's worth hundreds of thousands. Is he really supposed to hand that over after just 3 years of marriage? To a woman who doesn't give him any good memories? He can't accept that. Every time he thinks about it.
He just wants to slap himself.
Why did I do this? Because she's got a temper? Because she's not in shape? Guess I was just too young. Couldn't judge people well, huh? You take a sip of tea and go over the case. This case is kind of a mess. Usually, in divorce suits, you can expect to get around 60% of your current assets. The other side will probably get about 40%, which might include some of the debt, since her purchases do count as household spending. But if you hire our law firm, we can at least help you keep 2 properties from getting split. We can't guarantee anything else for now. So, do you want to hire us? When he heard you say that, Zhang Tongwei got a little emotional. He'd actually consulted other law firms before. The answers he got were pretty much the same as yours. He'd be giving up 40% of 2 properties. That's still a few million yuan. Losing that much to a woman like her is really painful. But now you say straight up, at least 2 properties can be saved. That's a big surprise for Zhang Tongwei. Lawyer Zhu for my divorce case. I'll hire Baizhen Law Firm. Since you've decided, you should get ready to sue your wife. We're suing Zhang Tongwei for fraud. Wang Li and Li Zuzhen looked totally confused. Isn't this a divorce case? Why accuse his wife of fraud now? Zhang Tongwei was a bit shocked. Lawyer Su, I'm filing for divorce. Raise your hands up. You rubbed your temples. Looking at Zhang Tongwei, you're getting divorced because you want out, right? Yeah, I want a divorce. And you don't want her getting a share of your properties, right?
Exactly.
Lawyer Su, that woman keeps spending my money and tricked me. It's only been 3 years since we got married, and she's already trying to take 40% of my properties. I'm not okay with that. Well, there you go. Accuse her of fraud. I can guarantee you those 2 outcomes. As long as you get both those results. Do you really care if it's a divorce case? 3 questions in a row. After your questioning, Zhang Tongwei shook his head. No, I don't, so that's fine. Whether it's a divorce case doesn't really matter. Zhang Tongwei thought through that logic. He seemed to just realize it. He looked at Lawyer Su, totally stunned. Wait, you mean we could actually send her to jail? You shook your head. I can't promise that. I can only make sure your claims are protected. Now that we've set the terms and scope of your case, if you have no more questions, let's sign the representation contract. Attorney fees will be 10% of the total value of 40% of your 2 properties. If that's okay with you, we can sign the contract now. Zhang Tongwei still hesitated. Isn't this attorney fee a bit steep? Wang Li slapped Zhang Tongwei on the back. What are you worrying about? You'll get a divorce and keep 40% of your properties. Who knows? Maybe they'll even put your bloodsucker in jail. It's just 10%. If it were me, if there was a chance to put her in jail, I wouldn't even blink at 20%. Why are you still doubting? Love isn't worth anything. That's not it. Jiang Tongwei opened his mouth, but didn't finish the sentence. You sipped your tea, quietly waiting. Those 2 relocation apartments in Nandu are worth several million. Just a percentage of that is still hundreds of thousands. Most people aren't willing to pay high legal fees, it's normal. But this rate is pretty fair. Most divorce cases charge between 10 and 30%. You're already getting the lowest rate. 2 minutes later, Jiang Tongwei finally made up his mind. Lawyer Su, I'm in. Let's sign the contract. He'll walk away with hundreds of thousands. You smiled to yourself? You told Li Zuzan to print out the necessary contract paperwork. After everything's signed, you had Jiang Tongwei pay the 5,000 yuan filing fee. Related costs. Any extra will be refunded. Any shortfall made up. Strictly fair, no tricks. Once Jiang Tongwei and Wang Li left, Li Zuzan came in with all the documents ready. She walked into the office. Lawyer Su, are we really going to accuse Jiang Tongwei's wife of fraud? Well, the contract's already signed. Did you think I was joking? Once Jiang Tongwei gives us the gathered evidence, and it brings it to the firm, we can file the case in court. Zuzan was surprised, but also a little excited inside. She thought this was just a civil case, but now it's going criminal. All right, that's enough. Get ready. I've got a tough job for you. You cut off Li Zuzan's excitement. What is it? Lawyer Su. Go find that short video his wife talked about. The one by that lawyer who handles marriage cases. Pretend to be a heartbroken wife every day in the comments. And try to get a call-in spot. That's key evidence. Key evidence. All right, Lawyer Su. I get it. Li Zuzan wasn't clear about your goal, but she knew that the evidence you mentioned must be huge for the case. If that's the case, as an intern, that's her task. Finish the task. If you think about it, as an intern, she actually played an important part in this case. That night, as a female college student intern, Li Zuzan returned to her dorm at Nandu Law University. Inside the dorm, her roommates were planning where to hang out tomorrow. Li Zuzan leaned over her phone, searching for the short video creator Jiang Tongwei mentioned. Lawyer the Fei Yi, who's been an expert in marriage law for years, over 100 divorce cases handled, pretty knowledgeable about criminal law and marriages, knows the tricks. Li Zuzan put on her headphones and opened up the Fei's homepage. All the video titles are about how women can protect their rights in marriage, how to make sure you get more joint property after divorce, how to leave the husband with nothing, how can women benefit the most from divorce, how do you make sure you get the most out of it. Women sacrifice a lot in marriage, so what can we do to use the law to protect ourselves? Li Zuzan scrolled through, clicking on one typical video after another. The more she watched, the more she frowned. How to put these videos? There's nothing wrong with women protecting their rights in divorce. But all this the Fei lawyer does is exploit legal loopholes and teach people how to grab the other person's premarital property. Create loopholes, which basically just means stealing the other person's private assets from before the marriage. And people in the comments are cheering. Some even brag about getting real benefits from it. And others are commenting how jealous they are. All the comments say the same thing. Envy. You got a lot this time, sis. Tell us so we can be jealous. Wow, sis, you really pulled it off. Nice job, sis. Learning from you. Let's go. It wasn't that much, really. It's mainly because Lawyer the Fei is so skilled. I hired the Fei myself. I didn't bring in a single cent of joint property. Got 60% of his assets. Wow, that's amazing. Share your secrets, girl. How, girl? Let us learn. The more she kept reading, the deeper Li Zuzan frowned. She couldn't understand this at all. Stealing assets this way. It's completely immoral. These people, they treat marriage like a business deal. No, it's not a deal. It's just a get-rich-quick scheme. A year of marriage for millions. This is clearly marriage fraud. Watching the video and comments. As a woman herself, Li Zuzan couldn't relate at all. But to gather evidence, the key evidence you mentioned, she posted in the comments. She asked for help on every video. When she finished, a sweet-looking roommate suddenly leaned over to her. Zuzan, what are you doing? You've been so busy interning lately. You must be exhausted. They weren't super close, but they weren't strangers, just typical roommates. It's okay, not too bad. It feels productive. I'm learning a lot. We're going to the new theme park. Wanna come? Lee Susan shook her head. I'll pass. I have to be at the firm tomorrow. All right then. Hope you're a top lawyer in Nandu soon. The roommate cheered her on. Thanks, Lee Susan smiled. The next day, you woke up at the firm. The original owner lived there. For convenience, he stayed at the office too, mainly to save money. After a quick wash and fixing his clothes, he opened the door and saw Lee Susan at the entrance. Morning, Lawyer Sue. She flashed a dimpled smile. She walked into the office. You were used to it by now. She always arrived this early lately. Lawyer Sue. I commented on the Faye's videos yesterday. On every single one. But he didn't respond. Give me your phone. Let me see your comments. Sure thing, Lawyer Sue. She handed over her phone. After reading the comments, you frowned slightly. You call this a miserable housewife? Her comment was, Lawyer Lee, I am a housewife. I'm struggling. Please help me. If you were that lawyer, you'd ignore her too. There was no hook there. You deleted all her comments. Then, with lightning fast speed, you typed out a long message and posted it. You gave the phone back. Copy exactly what I wrote, paste it a few more times, and send him a DM too. Lee Susan's eyes widened as she read the new comment. Hi, lawyer the houses. I'm a housewife. My husband makes $1 million a year. He has 3 houses in Nandu and a luxury penthouse. Assets are about 30 million. I want a divorce, but I want to keep my lifestyle. I'm so conflicted. Lawyer Lee is there. Any way you can help? Please. Followed by a pleading emoji. Lawyer Sue, will this work? Of course. What does a guy like the Faye want? The legal fees, obviously. He's not doing this for charity. 60% of the assets per case, with a 10% to 30% cut. That's hundreds of thousands in fees. 1 case, huge money. 10 cases and he's a millionaire. These divorces are easy wins. There's very little risk. It's a gold mine. Honestly, even you were tempted. But taking these cases, advertising like this is risky. Before you could speak, Lee Susan gasped. Lawyer Sue. The Faye replied to my DM already. You were a bit surprised too. But it makes sense with those kinds of assets. 30 million makes her a top client. What did he say?
He said he can take the case.
But I have to show proof. Once I prove the assets, he'll add me to his private group. You cleared your throat awkwardly. Proving the assets is tricky. While you were thinking, Lee Susan asked seriously, Lawyer Sue, I'm already in his private group. What's the next step? You didn't realize she was rich. But then it clicked. A regular undergraduate. Without a special background. How could she be mentored? By a top legal giant? Once you realized that, it all made sense. Lee Susan just now used her family's real assets as proof. Seeing your surprised look, she quickly explained, Lawyer Sue, I just found some proof online. I can't believe he fell for it. Do I have stupid written on my head? Your lip twitched. Sure, whatever you say. For now, it's best not to expose her. You cleared your throat, dropping the subject.
Next.
Screenshot the group chat messages from Lawyer Yi's group and download all his videos. If he contacts you to give you advice, you need to record the whole process. Lee Susan saw you didn't doubt yourself and felt relieved. She looked up and locked eyes with you. I get it, Attorney Sue. So, what's next? Then, once Zhang Tongwei gets all the evidence I asked for, and everything's ready, we just file a lawsuit at court. Lee Susan nodded seriously. You leaned back on the sofa. All parts of this case are ready to go. Just wait to file the lawsuit. Maybe this case will bring a surprise. Li Shaowan took a sip of tea, soon on Zhang Tongwei's end. He got all the evidence you wanted. You told Lee Susan to organize it. Then go file at the court. Soon after, the court accepted the case. Meanwhile, at Zhang Tongwei's home, Zhang Tongwei looked at his wife, Zi Jing, who took out another loan and bought things home. He looked slightly annoyed. Zi Jing loudly yelled, What's your problem? Annoyed by me, huh? If you can't stand me, just get divorced. As long as you don't divorce me, I'll keep spending 2,000 yuan a day on stuff for the house. You use all this stuff too, you know? I'm not just buying it for myself. It's our joint marital debt. If you don't agree to divorce, you still have to pay these debts. I'm telling you, I'm not suing you just to save your face. So I suggest, hurry up and sign the divorce papers. Zijing kept on cursing. It's not like I don't want to sue, but if I file for divorce like this, without a good reason, I might not get what I want. I need you to file the case. But Jiang Tongwei wouldn't do it. He just dragged things out, kept making Jiang Tongwei suffer, forcing him to get a divorce. Jiang Tongwei stared at this woman, clearly annoyed. He threw a package on the sofa. That's a court summons.
Take a good look.
As soon as she heard court, Zijing looked excited. She walked to the sofa quickly, running over with loud steps. She picked up the package, opening it while saying, "Seriously, just sign the divorce papers. Wouldn't it be easier to just sign? You've already talked to a lawyer. If you do this in court, you're paying extra for a lawyer. Why bother?" Zijing smiled as she unwrapped the package. She thought it was a divorce case. But when she opened the envelope and saw, her eyes widened. She stared at Jiang Tongwei in disbelief. She shouted, "Jiang Tongwei, we're doing a divorce case, and you sue me for fraud? Jiang Tongwei, what are you trying to do? We're getting divorced. What's with the fraud accusation?" Jiang Tongwei calmly looked at Zijing. "That's exactly it. Either you leave with only your debts, or see you in court." Then he walked away. Zijing just stared at the summons, stunned. The court accepted the case. If he does this, will I go to jail? He just wants a divorce, not jail time. Zijing knows a bit about the law, but not much. Seeing a summons, she got pretty nervous. She quickly called the Fei, her lawyer. "Attorney Li, my husband sued me." Right then, at Nanyuan Law Firm. Nanyuan is one of the top firms in Nandu, one of the city's best firms, handling all kinds of cases. They handle both civil and criminal matters. The Fei is one of the lawyers there. As a partner, the Fei saw the message and smiled. "Another case in the bag. Don't worry. Your husband sued you. But it's a chance to get divorced, right? Didn't you say he refused to divorce before? This is a great opportunity. Have me fight for your assets. You'll get at least 40%, maybe even 50%. The Fei encouraged her. Zijing quickly said, "Attorney Li, it's not just divorce. My husband sued me for fraud charges." "That's fine. You two are married, so a fraud charge won't stick. Don't worry. Hire me as your attorney. I'm 99% sure you'll win. But with someone else, who knows?" "All right, Attorney Li, thank you. No trouble, but fraud is hard to fight. So legal fees might be higher." Zijing gritted her teeth and agreed. "As long as you win, I'm fine with any fee." Zijing hired the Fei quickly, getting his promises. That made Zijing way more confident with Jiang Tongwei. Ready for the settlement. "Even if I get less, I didn't lose out." The court accepted the case quickly. Now it's mediation. Civil cases usually have to mediate first. Strictly, Jiang Tongwei's case is marriage fraud. But that's not a crime in criminal law. He had to file as fraud. The prosecutor steps in, with a civil suit attached. So divorce and property split happen together. Both lawyers will meet first.